climbing, I'm losing my grip. Storage costs rising, they'll never let me skip. Refunds I'm eating, returns pile up too. Oh, Amazon, what else will you do? I look at my dashboard, my profits erased. My margins are gone, it's a slap in the face. Prime Day's a promise, but it's such a race. How much will I make if I'm replaced? It's a cruel, cruel number. Fees keep climbing, profits torn asunder. Oh, it's cruel, the sellers wonder how to survive when the margins go under. It's a cruel, cruel number. Every month it's something new to plunder. Oh, it's cruel, it's no wonder we're stuck in this game, the algorithm's thunder.
Yo, Amazon's back, and they got a new scheme. Reimbursement slashed, it's every seller's dream. They're digging deep, taking more from the pot. Let's break it all down, expose what they got. March 25, it's a policy drop. They say manufacturing costs, but we know it's a flop. Give us your cogs, they're demanding the price. But if you don't, they'll estimate nice. Nice for them, not for you. Watch a payout shrink. That comprehensive evil is a corporate wing. Lost in the warehouse, damaged on the floor. Now they pay you pennies, not a cent more. Fees on the rise, profits on the run. They don't lift a finger, but they pocket the fun. We're fair! They shout while they cut our shares. Amazon math, man, it's full of errors. Fees, taking our dough. They're stacking the deck, and it's sellers who owe. Reimbursements? Nah, they're taking us down, but we're still here, we don't mess around. Fees, straight to the top. Amazon's game, it'll never stop. Margins tight, but we keep the grind. Sellers unite, we're one of a kind.
I try to sell my product on Amazon, thought it'd be a breeze. But little did I know I'd be stuck with seller support disease. They never seem to solve my problems, just give me the runaround. I'm tired of waiting on hold. My patience is wearing thin, I'll never be found. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck. Can't get no satisfaction. I'm out of luck, out of luck, out of luck. You don't care about my business, just trying to make a buck. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck.
This one's for the sellers on the grind, getting left on red, wasting all their time. I hit up support, got an auto reply. Thanks for your patience, man, I wanna cry. Inventory lost, my margins are toast. Reps playing tag like the Casper the Ghost. They pass me around, it's a never-ending game. Nobody takes action, everybody shifts blame. My ASIN's down, I'm out of the race. They say they'll escalate, yo, what a disgrace. Amazon seller support, you're breaking my heart. No answers, no fixes, just tearing me apart. Hours in the queue, stuck in the dark. Amazon seller support, you're missing the mark.
Amazon game plan, that is the key. Seller central dashboard, that's where I be. Analyze the funnel, see what we lack, then we optimize. Sellers know it's a fact. I get it poppin', you know that it's lit. Climbing the rankings, ain't no room to quit. I check the data, they notice the stats. I keep the method, that's how you adapt. Metrics are showing, you know it's our cap. Amazon sellers, it's time to react. I'm about that action, I do this with passion. I got them like, whoa, what is this? Huh, whoa.
I don't know, dude. I think everybody's just buying stuff based on reviews and badges or whatever. They don't even know who we are. These customers don't even know the name of my brand. But they keep clicking add to cart like it's part of the plan. They see that Amazon badge and think it's all grand. But yo, they don't even know the name of my brand.
Build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Blue dials, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell a day. Now listen up, I'm Steven Pope. Amazon guru, I'll help you cope. Step 1, get that trademark stamped. Without brand registry, your Amazon cramped. Head to Seller Central, log in quick. Manage stores tab, yeah, that's the trick. Upload your logo, flex that style. You're about to make Jeff Bezos smile. Where pick a template, marquee or grid. Drop your tiles like a branding whiz. Hero image, big and bold. This store's gonna glitter like digital gold. Flex, grow, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Blue tiles, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell today. Yo. In the trenches of the Amazon game, trying to survive while it's driving me insane. Nobody warns you, they just claim it's passive income. Nah, it's pain. I'm sitting at a birthday, laughing, chilling, next to a newbie Amazon seller spilling. She's like, Prime so smooth, it's a killer. Then tried to sell, now she's stuck in a thriller. Finding products, yeah, that's the first grind. Scrolling Alibaba, losing my mind. Sample suck, manufacturers decline. I'm like, dang, how's anyone doing this fine? Ship it in, pay for the bubble wrap, but they ship glass bottles in padded crap. Now I got hot sauce leaks, refund stack, customers pissed. Man, I'm under attack. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat. Trademark wars, brand registries a scam. They banned my brand, now I'm in a jam. Listings yanked, products ranked and tanked. Lost dogs in the catalog, my account shanked. Now let's talk ads, it's a rabbit hole. 1,000 hours deep, man, it's taking my soul. Weekly negations, bulk sheets for control. Excel's my new weapon, but it's taking its toll. SEO's no joke, keywords in the game. Alt text, A+ content, playing insane. Lifestyle shots, avatars for fame, but the CTR's low, all products look the same. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, from SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat. Let's go to Max School. To Max School. Class is now in session with Professor Pope. They got the SOP, cause Professor Pope wrote the recipe. Helping Amazon sellers grow sales exponentially. Amazon's a jungle, but we map the strategy. Brand strategist playbook, it's a guide to victory. Troubleshooting catalogs, you know we got the answer key. Boosting all your rankings, turning sales into a legacy. SOB so deep, you think we studied at Max School. Every step we follow leads to growth, yeah, it's a golden rule. Stuck on keywords, we'll find the ones that work the best. Using Helium 10, strike distance keywords pass the test. Incremental indexing ensures the listing set to rise. From the back end to the bullets, optimization hits the sky. Brand store creation, yeah, we make it shine and flow. A+ content design makes conversions overflow. Need your images on point, best practices in the plan. All text and photo rules ensure your visuals command. SEO meets PPC, it's balanced, every step aligned. We'll construct the MKLs that drive rankings over time. Budget caps and bid adjustments, no more wasted spending. Segmentation builds campaigns that sellers can defend. Got a hijacker, no problem, we'll file to take them down. Review requests in action, 5-star ratings come around. Flat file updates, market share reports, it's all in reach. Professor Pope wrote the SOP so sellers learn and teach. Meanwhile, my Amazon guys on the case, fixing up my problems at lightning pace. Ticket escalations, Mag's the boss. Even Amazon says we'll take the loss. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. They're supposed to be the pros, but they can't decode policies and tools from their own damn road. I'm paying fees, yet they bring me stress. But Mag turns my chaos into pure success. Seller support reps, they throwing shade, but then admit, yo, Mag will get you paid. Third-party agency taking the throne while Amazon fumbles in their own damn zone. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. So here's the truth, let's keep it real. Mag's the team with the pro-level skill. Amazon sellers, you know the vibe when support says call Mag. They'll give you peace of mind. Amazon seller support, you can suck my image stack. Sucking is all you're good at anyway. Bezos, hit me up if you want to sell seller support. I'm buying. There's a chase. Peace.
All right. Black Friday, Cyber Monday is over. We are in the heat of the moment, so to speak, with the holiday season right around the corner. It is, I had to look at the date there, but we are 23 days until Christmas, which means we're less than 3 weeks before that deadline for customers to order to have things delivered before Christmas Eve. So, clock is ticking. It is that magical time of the year for most of us where we can make a lot of sales. So my name is Kevin Sanderson from My Amazon Guy. I'm going to be answering your questions about all things Amazon related, as well as PPC, and just helping you make the most of this Christmas season. So for me, just a little bit of background. This is I shouldn't use fingers. I think it's my 11th Christmas season. I first started selling on Amazon in 2015. Started my own brand in 2016, and I've spent a lot of money on PPC ads ever since. Just the thought of it makes me cough. So anyway, I'll be getting into your questions here in just a moment. So I just want to make sure, can you guys hear me okay? There was like a little thing in my browser that said, oh, we lost connection to your mic, but I'm not sure that that's actually accurate. So no one is at least commenting at the moment that they can't hear me. So I'm just curious, can you hear me? Please let me know in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, X, Instagram, somewhere. So OEL money or OL money or OL money. I'm not sure how I say that. But anyway, glad to have you here. You can hear me loud and clear, so that's a good thing. Abanoob says, yes, you are audible. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, all right. So we've got, who's joining us? We got Zeb54 says, hi. Hi, Zeb54. We have Abanoob says, hi, Kevin, missed you those 2 weeks. Yeah, I was not here last week. So it's been 2 weeks since I've done a live stream. So last week, the same day, we did a master class, a webinar, so to speak, on how to maximize your Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. So hopefully people attended that and got value out of that and put that into action. Because if you don't take what you learn and apply it, I can guarantee your sales will be zero as a result of what you learned. I can't guarantee what result you're going to get, but I can definitely guarantee you'll have no results if you do not take action on what you learn. All right. We've got Vidushi says, hi, Kevin. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Thank you. Super excited that you're here. We have Kevin Hawthorne, 5257 joining us saying, hi, good afternoon from Lakeland, Florida. So another Kevin from Florida. So I am in Palm City. I've been to Lakeland many times. What's the name of that college? It's in Lakeland, right? Where they've got all the Frank Lloyd Wright houses. Total nerdy thing to even bring up, but love Lakeland. Lots of good people, good area, and that's in Lake County, Florida, I believe. I am in Martin County, which is in the East Coast, southeast of Florida. So anyway, whereas Lakeland is more central Florida, closer to Tampa. All right, Fikar Shah says, hello there. Well, thank you. Hello. Thank you. Glad to have you. We've got some questions starting to come in, which I'll get to the questions here in a minute. Tabassum Fatima says, hello, Kevin. Well, thank you. Hello to you as well, Tabassum or Tabassum, however I say that. Naveed says, hi, Kevin. Hi, Naveed. And Old Money says, it's my first time here, Kevin. Nice to meet you. Yes. Well, I'm excited that you're here. So with that, go ahead and ask your questions in the chat. So this is an AMA. What does AMA mean? For those who are not familiar, for the uninitiated, we have a secret hand. No, there's no secret handshake. But basically AMA means ask me anything. So ask me any question you would like about Amazon, and I'll tell you what I know, or I'll tell you I don't know. But usually I at least have some sort of opinion with that. So we'll be answering your questions. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is this operates a lot like when you're in high school or college, or you're at a meeting with HR, training meeting or something, and someone says, does anyone have any questions? What happens? Everyone just kind of like looks around the room. Nobody wants to be that first person to ask the questions. Then questions start coming in. And then all of a sudden, more people start asking more questions because there's like a momentum with questions. What also happens in these streams, I have found, is in addition to that dynamic where people will start asking questions and it prompts other people to ask questions, or people just ask questions because they feel more comfortable, the algorithms will start sending more people to the stream, which means more people asking more questions. So if you want your question answered, I go, for the most part, in the order I see it on my screen. Sometimes it's a slightly different order than what you see, but I do my best to at least go somewhat in order, although I do reserve the right to change up the order if I see fit for the conversation. So with that, let's start getting into some of those questions. But again, if you have questions, drop them into the chat now. Much better chance that I will be answering your question than if you ask it later. So what else do we have here? Oh, and then Umar, shout out, says, hello, Kevin. Yes, thank you. All right, so let's get into those questions that are starting to come in. So please tell us about the fast ranking strategy. So at the end of the day, Amazon is a flywheel, which means it's, all points in the wheel are influencing each other. So in order to get sales, you need impressions. But in order to get impressions, you need sales. That's the flywheel effect. So Amazon's not going to show your product, whether on ads or whatever, unless you have a product that is getting clicks, add to carts, and sales, or purchases, as we like to say. So as Stephen Pope, our founder, calls that as the ICAP funnel: impressions, clicks, add to carts, purchases. So those 4 things are critically important. And with those 4 things, you get, you're benefiting each step of the way. Ads will give you impressions. They don't really get you clicks. Now, in order to get clicks, you have to have impressions. In order to get ads to cart, you have to have impressions. In order to get sales, you have to have impressions. As you get more along the way and more people to purchases, that influences you getting more impressions. So point being, you got to focus on the things you can control. So your 2 control points after that long, not really answering your question monologue there, basically what you're going to have to do is make sure that you're getting clicks. So what is your click-through rate? And then also conversions. Now, a lot of people will tell you focus on conversions. It's like that thought, like, oh my God, they're on the page. I can't possibly lose them. I need as many of them to buy. You should focus on things that are going to get you conversions. But the more important part is clicks. So your click-through rate is more important. So if you want fast ranking, people need to click on your listing. We have found it is easier to increase your click-through rate or your traffic than it is to make meaningful improvements to your conversion rate. Because if your conversion rate is, let's say, 10%, you go up to 12%. Well, that's great. So for every 100 people that land on your listing, you get an extra 2. Now, if, let's say, you improve your click-through rate. So if you have a click-through rate of 0.2 and you get it to 0.3, you have 50% more traffic. And if you still continue that 10% conversion rate, that is way better than 2% conversion rate. Hopefully that made sense. So that is our belief that we have found. So focus on that click-through rate, whether you're at 0.2%, 1%, it depends on where your bulk of your traffic is coming from. Is it coming from search, or is it coming from product detail pages on other products? So just things to think about. So fast ranking strategy. Everybody wants fast. Everybody wants, 30 minutes or it's free type of thing. But at the end of the day, focus on either click-through rate or conversion rate. Most of the time, click-through rate is the first place to start. All right. With that, Fiduci says, hi, Kevin. How much time period, days, weeks, months, so we take into account while optimizing campaigns? Like, for example, an auto campaign substitute match worked last month. Now in the month, ACOS is high. Same with bid placements. Last month, they were performing well with good ACOS in the month, and one placement is not. Please share your feedback. So for one, it's December 2nd. So I don't know if you're talking about the month to date, December, or last 30 days versus the previous 30 days, which are almost calendar months since it's only the second of the month. But either way, you're going to have to take a look at your optimizations, I would say fairly regularly. And this time of year, you want to look at it more often than you would other times. So a good rule of thumb is when in doubt, just at least once a week. Now, if you're a high volume seller and you're getting a lot of clicks, you have a lot of data. Now, if you're getting, let's say someone is a beginner seller. I'm not saying that's your case or not. You're getting 3 sales a day and you're spending $8 a day on ads. I'm just making these numbers up. You're not going to have a lot of data to sort through and optimize. You might be able to get away with once a month, unless you're really trying to be aggressive and like get more impressions and whatnot. Then maybe you want to do a little more often than that. But if you're talking about managing like ACOS and things like that, always keep a couple things in mind is seasonality. So right now we're heading into the busiest time of the year. And a lot of times everybody talks about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And yes, we have a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal that we're offering. And, you know, a lot of talk is about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I personally have found over the years, and I know a lot of sellers are this way too, and it's not the same for everybody, but unless you're running super aggressive discounts on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, oftentimes, especially if your product is giftable, your best sales will be in like mid-December going into around the 20th to 21st, because you have urgency and scarcity of time, which scarcity of time and urgency are essentially the same thing, but you have natural urgency, I should say. And it's not fake. It's not like, oh, this deal is going away, you know, whatever, which is not fake. But, you know, at the end of the day, you have this kind of like, oh my gosh, I need to get little Johnny a present. Oh my gosh, I need to get my spouse. Oh my gosh, I need to get my, you know, mother. Oh my gosh, I need to get whoever on their list. Time's running out and they've been putting it off because they're a procrastinator. And all of a sudden they realize like, oh my gosh, I got to do this. So then it's time. And they're like, I got to buy. So you get a lot of conversions like in about a week and a half, more so than you would other times of the year. So the more people who see your listings now, the better. So you're going into the best time of the year, I have found, for ACOS. Conversely, one of the not so best times of the year, in my experience, is that time period right before Black Friday. There's a lot of window shopping, a lot of kind of like researching. People are more in research mode. Like, oh, what deals are going to be out there? What do I even want to shop for? So they start adding things to carts. They start saving for later. You can add lists in Amazon. So people add things to their list, whatever mechanism they use to keep track of things. In my family, we use all 3 that I just mentioned. So they're seeing what's out there, which means they're clicking. Like the average Amazon customer, I am convinced, has no idea what is an ad and what it isn't, other than the thing at the top, you know, brand, sponsored brands. They can kind of tell that's an ad. But like, you know, editorial recommendations or, you know, highly rated or whatever creative thing Amazon comes up with, and whatever, and lots of different categories of different ones where, you know, it's sponsored. It oftentimes looks very much just like regular organic placements. And so most people have no idea. And even if they did know, they probably wouldn't care. They'd click on it anyway. So point being, there's a lot of clicking around, which is the equivalent, I think, of like window shopping when I think of like malls when I was a kid. You know, you start just walking around the mall and we go to JCPenney or Sears and get the Christmas catalog, the Dream Book or whatever they called it. So people are doing that now online, and they're clicking around, so that affects your ACOS. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully that answered your question. So, all right, what do we have here? So this is a question. I don't know. It looks like it's coming from my Amazon guy. So if you're on Instagram, shout out to everybody on Instagram. We are going to answer your questions. Unfortunately, I cannot see the questions coming through StreamYard. I guess it's not connected that way. So our team is actually going onto Instagram and monitoring it. So if you're on Instagram, you will not be missed. And so on Instagram, Patty G Official 9881 says, how to increase organic ranking over the Amazon. Are we missing something here? We're missing something. All right. Sorry. I'll do my best to answer this question as I interpret it. How to increase organic ranking over the Amazon algorithm, or basically how to increase your Amazon organic ranking. So it all goes back to what I was saying in the previous question. Sales leads to more impressions. Impressions lead to sales. It's that flywheel. You just have to figure out where in that flywheel do you need to work on things. And so if you want to improve your organic, you need to make sure your listing is optimized. Does the algorithm fully understand what your product is? And one little hack, so to speak, is look at auto campaigns and see what it's advertising, both keywords and other products. That kind of gives you a sense of what the algorithm believes your product is by like where it's advertising it, where you're showing up. Also look at your search query performance report if your brand registered. And then whether you use search query performance report or not, take a look and see, okay, I've got all these different options of things I could do. Do I need to first focus on click-through rate or conversion? So relative to your competition, are you doing better or worse on click-through rate or conversion? So if you have more opportunity to improve your conversion rate, maybe focus a little bit on conversion rate. If you have more opportunity to work on your click-through rate, work on click-through rate. So just pick one and start improving that and make tests. Don't try to make too many tests all at once, because oftentimes that'll just lead to you don't know what worked. So that is our thought process. All right, moving on. The salon guy says, hello. Is your hero image service worth it? Can it help increase sales? So that is a good question. And so we charge, and this is not, I've never met the salon guy. I'm sure he's a very nice person. But this is somewhat of a softball question. In fact, I'm going to bring up the I'm going to bring up right now our page. Oops, I always hit the wrong button there. Share screen. Okay. So basically, you've got a main image and you got to think through, is your image boring or is it clickable? Like if you look at this, like cookie sheets, boring or clickable. So we have seen people as much as, it's not on this one. Let's go to another page, IMG. We have a case study, which I wish I knew which page it was on at the top of my head. But basically, the guy 3x'd his click-through rate. 3x click-through rate means 3 times as much traffic. How much are you paying for a click? And so even if you got, let's say, let's just be conservative, a 20% bump in click-through rate, and your conversion rate holds firm. So 20% increase is, let's say you're getting, just for fun, 10 sales a day for that product. Maybe more, maybe less, but I'm just picking this just to make it make sense. You're getting 10 sales a day, which means, let's say you have a 10% conversion rate. That means you are getting about 100 clicks. Now, if you increase that by, let's say 20% or even 10%, you're getting an additional 10 clicks, and if some of these are organic, let's say half of them are organic, you're not paying for those. So let's say you're getting an extra 5 clicks a day or 10 clicks. Let's say you're getting an extra 5-10 clicks a day, and those clicks would have cost you with PPC $1 each. So that's $5 to $10 a day. In less than 2 weeks, you would have paid for the main image service. Now, can I guarantee a particular result? No, it might be better than what I just illustrated. It might be not as good as I illustrated, but the more you can improve click-through rate, the generally better off you're going to be. So hopefully that made sense. This is not a shill for anyone else watching who's like, did he set this guy up? Can it help increase sales? Absolutely. So as we like to say, it is easier to double your traffic than it is to double your conversion rate. And oftentimes, if you're doubling your conversion rate, if you're optimizing too much for conversion rate, you're oftentimes sacrificing traffic because you're not you, but in generally, people are focused so much on how do I get the right traffic so I can have this conversion rate. There's no trophy for conversion rate. There's only money being distributed every 2 weeks by Amazon. And the more sales you get, the more money you get. So hopefully that made sense. All right. Next up, Zeb54 says, is there a way to add negative keywords across all campaigns at once directly in Campaign Manager without using bulk uploads? Unfortunately, I do not know of a way. That would be very nice. I do believe, and I've never used that. I'm pretty sure there are campaign level no words, meaning negative keywords. I've never used it. And part of me is afraid because if you have different products that react differently, it's pretty blunt. Once you make that negative, there's no, it's not that there's no going back, but whatever time period it's negative, it's negative. It's not like, well, the algorithm's like, maybe we'll go around that. No, it's just, they respect that and you just won't show up. And so be very careful with stuff like that. So I would say you're better off using bulk files. If you don't know how to use bulk files, great opportunity to learn it. It's a relatively easy thing to learn. And once you learn it, there's a lot of just copying and pasting you could do to relatively quickly add the negative keywords you want to add. And this says, even when our bid is 10 cents with 0 placement adjusters and down only, why is it the actual CPC is still coming out at 80 cents? One, I question what time period are you looking at? So let's say it was a week ago, you lowered to 10 cents. If you're looking at the last 60 days, last 30 days, beyond the time period of when you made it, during that time period, you may have data from a time period where maybe you're bidding 80 cents or more. That could be part of it. Says you have no placement adjustments, no down only bidding and down only bidding. You should not be getting CPCs at 80 cents if that is the case. There has to be something somewhere else, some setting, and they may have some setting that I'm not even familiar with. They test out in some accounts, and maybe that is causing it. So I would look all around Campaign Manager, click in every particular nook and cranny you can get to, and figure out, is there something else that you're not thinking of? Do you have an audience placement modifier? There has to be something in my head for it to be 80 cents. It's either you're an apples and oranges scenario of you're looking at the last 60 days or the last 30 days, and maybe you made the adjustment more recently. I've had that issue before. I'm like, why is that higher? Like, oh, I'm looking at a longer time horizon than when I made that change. So I still have old data that's affecting the average cost per click. So that could be part of it. So hopefully that helps. All right. The salon guy says, Zeb, during holidays and deal days, Amazon automatically doubles bids by 100%. I have never heard that. But even that wouldn't explain if that was true. That would be 20 cents. CPCs would make sense. All right. Julius Tambon says, hello, can I hop on your Amazon PPC internship? You can always go to myamazonguy.com/jobs and apply. Mag, oh, there we go. Our back of the house folks are hooking me up, keeping me on track. And so shout out to Gilbert and Michelle for doing that. So, and they went to myamazonguy.com/jobs, and they applied. First thing you do is you take something called Culture Index, which sees if you're a good culture fit. It might seem like pseudoscience to some people, but it is taken very seriously by MAG. So the reason I say that is you might be the most knowledgeable person in the world when it comes to PPC, and you might make the best possible PPC intern, but if it doesn't work from a culture standpoint, it's not going to work at MAG. And it's not a knock on you. In fact, it might actually propel you in the direction of someplace where you can make more of an impact and be more of a culture fit. And that is okay. But everyone is entitled to apply by going to myamazonguy.com/jobs. All right. Moving along. What else do we have? For private label, if your product margin is around 40%, but the ACOS is currently 56%, do you think that is acceptable or justifiable during growth phase? So always figure out what are the numbers you're trying to achieve. So if you are a supplement or something with any sort of recurring revenue, like trash bags, poop bags, you know what? I'll give a shout out to the companies that I buy tape from, the companies that I buy boxes from in my own Amazon business, the companies that I buy poly bags, the companies that I buy all kinds of supplies. You know, there's times I go on Amazon and I look at like the box and it's like, you've ordered this 76 times or whatever. So my lifetime value to that company is great. And because I just go into orders and I order it. So is this something where the people would need it, or like they're going to use it over and over again and need to buy more? Or are you selling a can opener or a handheld calculator? Like, how many people even have handheld calculators these days? Because it's usually on your phone. I probably had this thing for at least 12 years. I'm not buying another handheld calculator anytime soon, especially unless like my kids need something special for school, like a, graphing calculator or scientific calculator. But for most people, they're not buying another calculator. They're not buying another can opener. They're not buying another serving spoon unless they need something specific for, Christmas coming up. They're hosting people at a party. So if you're, depending on where on that spectrum you are, purchases they make once every 5-10 years, or purchases they're making relatively ongoing. If you're getting more purchases, your lifetime value per customer is higher, and it can be worth it to spend around 56%. Now, ACOS 56% does not mean that you're spending 56% of your total sales. So one, challenge yourself. Your 40% number, is it really 40%? Did you take into account everything, including, inbound shipping fees to get stuff into Amazon? Did you have placement fees where they move stuff around? Are you getting charged low inventory fees, whatever magical fees that they've come up with? Are you getting hit with those? How much are you paying for inventory? So for a lot of us, we shipped in our inventory for Q4 maybe in late September, early October. So that means there's probably some units sitting on a shelf that will be still there in January, maybe even February, potentially. And those have 3 months of Q4 jacked up fees for inventory because the fees are higher. So just keep in mind, there's a lot that goes into those fees. So challenge yourself. Is it really 40%? Then the 56% number is ACOS. So let's say when you're starting out, a lot of times people say, oh, maybe, it's healthy to have, 30 to 50% of your sales coming from, or less, coming from ads. Realistically, when you first start out, it might be like 80%, so that might be it. But even that means 20% of your sales are coming from organic. So you want to take your cost of ads divided by your cost of ads divided by your total sales, not just sales from ads, but total sales during that time period. And then from there, that would give you what's called tacos, which is not just because today's Tacos Tuesday. It's tacos meaning total advertising cost of sales, because the ACOS you're looking at most likely in Campaign Manager is just for ad costs divided by ad sales. So sales that were driven by ads. All right. Let's move on to another one. I'm looking to break into PPC account management field. Curious to hear if you have any advice on 1, resources to upskill, and 2, ways to stand out while applying to positions. Yeah. So a couple things you could do is 1, are you a seller yourself and you have experience running ads? Like, what case studies do you have? Alex Hermosi, shout out Mosey Nation. He's got a lot of good stuff. One of the things he talks about is you sometimes have to get like a couple of unpaid case studies. That can be beneficial. My Amazon guy, we've got our PPC course, which you can get. And that's something that can be beneficial to you. We also have a special, if the back of the house folks are listening, myamazonguy.com/enroll, ENROLL. I should have asked to create a banner earlier, but today is the final day of our Oh, there we go. I love it. Today's the final day of our campaign, limited time, our Black Friday, Cyber Monday special, which includes our PPC course, our SOP library, our brand strategist playbook, and brand strategist playbook, PPC library, Amazon product launch blueprints, the PPC course, SOPs, brand strategy. Like, I'm starting to repeat myself, but a lot of stuff that is going to be very beneficial. And it's based on not fluff of people kind of like feeding off each other on LinkedIn, but based on what we have found works, based on $6 billion in sales that we've generated over the years for our clients on Amazon. So I don't know of anyone else who can say that other than Mag. So just something to keep in mind. So this is today, and today is the last day. This is not false. Like, I'm just making this up. Like, today's the last day, and then tomorrow it's like a new special, and it's like $1 difference. No, it's $7,200 worth of stuff that you can get for $12.97. So if you want, go to myamazonguy.com/enroll. Oh, and then ways to stand out. Yeah, case studies. Because if you go to them and say, "Hey, train me," versus, "Hey, I took the Mag School PPC course. I did this. I'm trained on this. I'm trained on that. I have these case studies." That's going to make you stand out. And some people might say, "But yeah, I need the job right away." Well, continue to apply for jobs, but time is going to pass no matter what. So you might as well, until you get the dream job, you might as well maybe get some case studies along the way. And who knows? Maybe you start your own PPC agency along the way. All right. Next up, what would be the best idea to search for broad campaign negation keywords without finding then after clicks on those search terms? What would be the best way to search for broad campaign negation keywords? Oh, just download your bulk file. That's the easiest way. You don't have to do for a particular time period. You just look for yesterday, and it's just going to show you so in it, like there's the first one is like sponsored products. Well, you're on a sponsored products page. So I never understood that, that particular column. It's like the first one. And the next one over is, I forget what they call it. I'm drawing a blank, but it's like keyword, campaign, ad group, ad, which is your product. And then there's also, negative keywords or negative search terms, whichever one. In Excel or Sheets, whichever you're using, you can just filter for negations, and then you can see all the ones you haven't negated, and it'll even show you like which campaigns and which ad groups they're in. So you can tell. So that would be my recommendation to do that if you want to look at scale where you have those keywords. And if you're like, yeah, but I got to learn bulk files, do it. It's life-changing. I found I resisted for a few years doing bulk files and I've not gone back. They're a free resource and they're incredible. And you can make so many changes. You can use formulas. You can do all kinds of fun stuff and do it on the fly. All right. Next up, in wholesale on Amazon, our margins are often tighter, 10 to 15%. What is a realistic tacos? So that's a good question. So at the end of the day, maybe 10, 15%. Now, the one thing about wholesale is if it's a branded product, sometimes people are already searching for that brand. So sometimes you're getting sales that way. So you got to ask yourself, like, how much money are you willing to spend on it? So you don't, if you're with tight margins, you might not want to do as much ads and just kind of let it run on its own. But if you have a lot of inventory and you're trying to make a dent, get the buy box more. I'm not the wholesale expert, but I do know that in wholesale margins are tighter because you're getting your margin, but the brand is getting theirs. So I would definitely say 10 to 15% is not an unrealistic tacos, but when we're talking about tacos, that means, you're probably looking at 20, 30, 40% ACOS. So just know your numbers and maybe be more aggressive if you're trying to move the inventory and you're not going to reorder or you have too much in stock or something like that. That would be my thought process. Just keep that in mind. All right. Casing 24 says, why is the case that often 30 to 60% of campaigns are active, idle with little to no spend, and spending only comes from the rest? Client wants to scale spend, but other campaigns are just idle. So when you're saying idle, you have them there, but they're not running. So do you have relevancy of the keywords? Are you bidding it high enough? Those are all things to keep in mind. At the end of the day, if I have a calculator, maybe there's more search volume on green marker, which I doubt it. But if I go after green marker, I could bid $100. They're probably not going to show my calculator because it's not relevant. Or if they do, very little, because they're going to realize nobody's clicking on it and nobody's buying because they're looking for green markers. That is their that is their semantic search. That is their intent, the buyer's intent with that keyword. So you may have to take a look and say, okay, do I have keywords that actually make sense? Now, one example I often give is markers. You might think like, okay, markers would be great for this product that I'm holding up now. It's a dry erase marker. I just can tell you, you're going to find very few, in my experience, dry erase markers on page 1, but people looking for dry erase markers are typing in dry erase markers, whereas people typing in markers are looking for like crafting markers and Crayola school markers and stuff like that. They're not looking for office dry erase markers. So sometimes you might think, oh, I'm selling this product, so I'm going to go after markers. So whatever markers versus dry erase markers is in your particular niche, you might have a bunch of campaigns where you're going after the equivalent of markers, but you're a dry erase marker. So you just need to have more specific, more long tail, laser focused keywords. So, all right, next up, Ayaz says, what should be the strategy for getting sales if I'm already holding 100% shares in specific browse node? How could you possibly have 100% share in when you're saying browse node? I'm assuming you mean like the subcategory. I would say that's almost impossible. There's usually more juice to squeeze, but if everybody gets to a point where it's like, okay, it's a funnel and sponsored products is like the bottom of the funnel. It's like they're very aware of the funnel that they're at, whereas you want to go higher up the funnel. In fact, where's Eugene Schwartz? Let's see if I can find a. We'll do a little marketing lesson that's not related to Amazon, but it will be related to this question. Eugene Schwartz funnel. All right, so. Oh, here's a good one. All right. Let me share my screen. So looking at this right here, this is, if you're not familiar, Eugene Schwartz, look him up. He wrote a book called Effective Advertising, like in the 60s or something like that. But I've never read it, but people quote it all the time. But the general philosophy is, you have people that are unaware. They're aware there's a problem. They don't know how to fix it. And unawares, they don't even know that they have a problem. They might not have a problem. They don't even know the problem exists. And people that realize there's a problem, and they realize the problem might affect them. And then there's people that realize there's a solution, but they don't know about it. And then there's people that know about the type of product they need. And then in Amazon terms, purchase aware means they're searching for products and then ready to buy. So sponsored products tends to be down here, whereas sponsored brands and DSP, demand side platform, and some sponsored display are higher up here. So you're bringing people into the funnel. You don't necessarily want to go after people that are completely unaware, but people that maybe know there's a problem, but they don't know what the solution is, or know that, they know they want to lose weight, but they know they need some supplement, but what kind of supplement? So, letting them know like, oh, there's this supplement that does this thing. So ads that kind of bring people in that are not down here, because at a certain point on Amazon, there's only so many people searching. So you got to warm people up. Now, things like DSP and a lot of sponsored brands, and getting above like 90 to 95%, or sorry, getting less than 90 to 95% of your spend on sponsored products starts getting into these. You're going higher up the funnel than where sponsored products is usually down here. So you have to make people now either who are not looking for your product actively, like at least let them know like the product is out there. Maybe they're the type of people who might have that problem or might be aware of the solution, but they're just not sure of the product or type of product. So if your bottleneck is you're running out of people searching for the product, then you want to start figuring out how you can go farther up the funnel. All right. We'll keep going in. So probably still have time to answer some more questions. So if you have questions, drop them into the chat. The sooner you ask them, the more likely I'll be able to get to your question before the end. With that, let's get to another question. What's a good bidding strategy for manual PPC campaigns? So bidding strategy, a couple of different ways. So Amazon, what they call bidding strategy, is it like fixed bid, up and down, or down only? Personally, I'm all about down only. I know this has been a debated topic. I've run several PPC related summits and had, most of the PPC experts in the space that you probably know of. And people have said different things on this topic. So there's no consensus, but for what Amazon calls bidding strategy, I like down only. Like at the end of the day, if you're bidding $1, but 87 cents would get you the click, why force it to pay $1 if you can get it to pay 87 cents? Like save a little bit here and there, shave money off, save some money where you can. Now, oftentimes when people ask the question about bidding strategy, they mean more like strategically, how should I think about it? If you're trying to figure out your starting bid, you could look at Amazon's recommended bids. I tend to go a little bit below them. And then if I need to increase them, I increase them. Some products I just have kind of learned over time, like, okay, if I start off at 85 cents, that's a good starting point. Starting bid is just a starting bid. Now, once you've made that starting bid and you start getting data, then you can start making some decisions. So shout out to Michael Erickson Fashine and Ad Badger. He's the one that put this one out, and this is a formula I use all the time. And I know Stephen Knock from Ad Labs likes this particular measure too, and that's revenue per click. And some people might be saying, oh, where do I find that? Well, it's not in any Amazon reports, but it's hiding in plain sight. So you could use what I use as a bulk file, and I just take, the column equals whatever column that the revenue is. So sales. So equals sales divided by number of clicks. Now, whatever those columns align to. So that gives you basically revenue per click, sales per click. So if you have, let's say, $1,000 in sales and you have 100 clicks, you have $10 cost per click. Now, it's probably actually kind of high, but it depends on your product. But let's just, for ease of math, well, no, let's do this. $500 in sales, 100 clicks. So your revenue per click is, in that case, $5. So $500 in sales divided by 100 clicks, $5 per click is you're getting, every time someone clicks, you're making $5 in sales. You might be saying, but not who's making fraction of sales? It's just on average. So we're using that algebra. Then you multiply times your desired ACOS. So let's just say I'm envisioning this in my mind. That's why I froze there for a second. So let's say it's 30% desired ACOS. So in that math example, $500 in sales divided by 100 clicks equals $5 revenue per click times 30%. So 30% of $5 is $1.50. So that means you could spend up to $1.50, and based on your last 100 clicks or whatever number of clicks you have during that time period, if the next however many clicks perform the same way, then you'd be fine. Now, it's not perfect because you might show up in different places and they may react differently. And, window shopping from last week versus frenzies of shopping, right now as we head into the bulk of the holiday shopping season. So there's a variety of things you have to think about. So is that a good strategy for manual PPC campaigns? That is my philosophy. I generally will sometimes look at Amazon suggested bids, but I take them with a big old grain of salt. All right. Umar says, if I currently hold buy box, is it worth spending money on product targeting campaigns to display on my own listing, or is that wasting budgets? So, excuse me. Sorry. Yeah. So if you currently have the buy box, if you run product targeting campaigns, you're going to have to run it to like your other products. And so there's no guarantee it's also going to be when you have the buy box. So if you're running product targeting campaigns, let's say you have product A and then you have products B, C, and D. So on product A's product detail page, you're going after product B, C, and D. So your other three products. Now, you should get the buy box. I can't say that for sure, since you're the one that paid for that ad. But I don't know if that, with the tight margins you mentioned, I don't know that you are as concerned about, as a wholesale seller, if you're concerned about the competition getting some of the sales, because when you start getting into like product, these kind of like product detail page ads, you're really doing it as a defensive strategy to prevent the competitors, people have other products, from showing up on that detail page and taking away your sales. Whereas here, like, unless you're the brand, do you really care with such tight margins? I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze here, is my personal opinion. All right, next up, how to grow a brand that doesn't have a brand registry, has products with higher level price to most competitors. Supplements category products are very efficient but expensive, low CVR due to price. Step one, pause this video, whether you use my Amazon guide or which we recommend selfishly, or you use, the accelerator program, the IP accelerator program. Do something and get brand registry. Like, tell them that nothing's going to work. So if they're expensive and they're high cost, they're going to need things like, potentially they're going to need to run, maybe higher up funnel ads to bring people in. And if they're expensive, they should have the margin to do this. And they also would need, A+ content to really tell the story. They probably need a brand story, which is kind of like a type of A+ content. They need, they're going to need some of the bells and whistles that come with brand registry, which I'm almost positive search query performance report, you need brand registry. Yeah, because it's in brand analytics. So you have to be the brand. So first off, just tell them to get brand registry. And I know that seems like kind of a cop-out, but no, tell them that, there's no excuse not to have brand registry. The nice thing is, with some of these programs, it's not like way back in the day, you had to come to the table with a fully registered on the principal registry of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, for example, in order to get credit. Now, you can just basically have applied and you have the registration number and you can use that. Now, make sure you talk to somebody who knows what they're doing in order to do that. It's a little bit technical. But that would be my suggestion, is work with either my Amazon guy, which we work with an attorney, work with the Amazon IP accelerator, or, there's, niche Amazon IP attorneys out there that could help you with that. And you could very quickly get that. Like, there's no reason to be, coming to a gunfight with a knife. And that's basically what they're doing. If they're trying to be premium positioning, but not have brand registry, it doesn't make sense. All right. Jason says, just launched, only one review so far from Vine, just 1,000 impressions with 2 clicks. So that's 0.2% click-through rate. That's not terrible. It's not great, but it's, I would say, acceptable if we're talking about ads. Running auto campaigns, how to get more clicks, maybe bids too low, $3 in ad spend in only 4 days. Yeah, if we're talking about the last 4 days, that was Black Friday, Cyber Monday. There's lots of people starting to click around. There's impressions out there. So you're probably bidding too low. Now, if you're bidding, let's say 75 cents, I wouldn't bid $5 and say, let's throw caution to the wind. Maybe increase by 10, 15 cents from wherever you are now. And you might very quickly start noticing you're getting sales. One review, depending on the product, shouldn't totally kill your click-through rate. Although 0.2%, if we're talking about ads, is not terrible. But if you're just running auto campaigns, it's probably showing on a lot of product detail pages, which have a very low click-through rate. So just keep that in mind. Because product detail pages, it's not like they're searching and they're like scrolling down. It's like, they're when they're, searching and they're looking for a product to click on, that's going to have a higher click-through rate than if they're already on the product they're looking at and they see like a carousel and then maybe yours, is like 3 down. So if they're already clicking through the carousel, they're going to scroll right past most products because they're just kind of, they don't have the same intent that they do on the search engine results page. So definitely increase your bids and do some manual campaigns. If you're not doing manual campaigns, don't leave it all to auto. That would be my advice. And then looks like there's a follow-up there. So is there a December strategy? I had a $30 coupon for my $129 list price and just 2 clicks. I removed coupon for now. Every competitor has heavily discounted BFCM, but need to get sales. Why remove the coupon? Like, I don't know. Maybe make the coupon more aggressive. Now, the one thing about coupons is that try to figure out the if-thens when in their program details. But the simplest way to understand coupons is it's the lowest price you've offered recently. So whatever your selling price is minus the coupon, that net price needs to be the lowest price you've offered. And that includes other deals you've run and stuff too. So if you increase the size of your coupon. You can't just like a couple days later say like, okay, I was at a $30 coupon. Now I want to make it a $20 coupon. It won't show the coupon because it's not the lowest to the reference price. You'd have to start getting some sales at the higher price. And then over time, eventually it'll even itself out. And you'll be able to show up for that lower coupon. But if you're just starting out, like be aggressive, like lower your price, try lowering your price a little bit, try increasing your coupon, increase your bid. You know, I know a lot of times that kind of hurts, but like now's the time to do it, especially with December. You know, you should be starting to get some sales in this time of year. And so if you're only spending $3 in 4 days or whatever the number was, you definitely need more impressions. In order to get more impressions, you're going to need to probably bid higher. And I assume more reviews as they come in will help with clicks as well. Yes, but I think, you know, whether you have 1 review or 3 reviews, like to the average customer, they don't really care that much. If one product has 10 reviews and one has 10,000, that's substantial. If you have 20 reviews and someone else has 32, like I don't think they care. That's my personal opinion. I think people worry too much about reviews. You just don't want to have like 3 stars. That's more where you have to worry about it. Now, if you have, you know, 2.5, 3 stars and you have 500 reviews, that's a big problem. If you have 3 stars and you have 2 reviews, that just means you have 1 bad review, which a lot of people, they kind of understand. It still will hurt your click-through rate and possibly conversion rate. But you can fix that over time. So that's my thought process. Next up, Abdul Lahat says, I'm watching from outside the USA. Is it possible to run an Amazon FBA business from abroad? And is it profitable for international sellers? Yes, you can. Just look, do some research online, depending on what country you're in. And does Amazon allow sellers from that country? Which there are some countries that Amazon does not. So just double check to make sure that. I remember once upon a time I started selling in Japan. I was setting up my Amazon Japan account, which is linked to my US account. And things are more linked than they used to be. But I had a rep from Amazon and he's like, telling me like, oh, yeah, just go to this page. So I go to the page and like, there's no ChatGPT, and I don't think the translation AIs worked as well back then. But there was like, I had to pick country, and he said, just pick one, and we can change it later. I was like, okay, this is my Amazon rep telling me this. I click it, and it was Azerbaijan. So I'm sure there's very nice people in Azerbaijan, but at least at the time, Azerbaijan was on the no seller list. So my account was immediately suspended in Japan. It didn't affect my US account. I got it back, but it was something to think about. So it just is always stuck in my head. Like people say, like they're abroad, just double check the country you're from. And word to the wise, don't try to use a VPN to try to make it look like you're in Canada or somewhere else that is acceptable, because eventually it will catch up. Amazon's too smart. You're not going to outsmart them. So just if you are in a country where you can do it, do it. Maybe there's people that there's like some address in Gold Street in Sheridan, Wyoming, where a lot of companies are registered. Be very careful if you go down those roads. I just have noticed that over the years. Like, and nothing against people who are in Wyoming companies, but just keep that in mind. Like, there are strategies people use to hide things, but I do believe the way know your customer laws are going internationally, not just in the United States, like eventually it will catch up. So don't try to mess with that system. You might need to look for another opportunity if your country that you're in is not on the green list, so to speak. All right. Comment from Instagram from Leah F437. How can I know I rank organically for each keyword? Let's there's keyword tools that can help you with that. I think Helium 10, you can just do a reverse ASIN search using Cerebro, or you just do the old fashioned way. Look at the keyword, search it on Amazon and see, where do you show up? That's one thing you could do. Comment from Wasam.bet. What does our Amazon seller account mature to the point where we can list our products without approval? I don't know. I think some of it has to do with like the categories you're in. I've not heard of a lot of people having issues with getting products approved. I know we talk about wholesale products. We're selling other people's products. So you have to get approval from the brand. Are you trying to get around that? That I'm not an expert in. I just know that you do have, if Disney is locking down their listings, you're not going to get around it. It doesn't matter how long you've been selling on Amazon. If you're trying to, get approved for some gated, like grocery or food, then maybe they look more favorably. I don't know. That's a question I don't have the answer to. All right. And then I think this will be our last question from Instagram. And this is from Kareem Farid. Kevin, how would you start making PPC related content if you wanted to become a name in the niche and dominate it? So, great question. So, one thing you could do is take a look at some of the original content on this channel here. So, Steven just started creating content. People would ask a question. Oh, that was a good question. He's talking to a customer or a client or a prospect. They ask him a question. He just goes and records a video and just uploads it. That's Steven. Steven is not going to measure twice to cut once. It's cut 1,000 times to have 1,000 cuts and figure out which one works the best. So he just puts out a lot of content. That's why we have thousands of videos on this channel. It's just ingrained into the culture of mag. So if you want to go down that road and you want to be an expert, you could do that. You could also host, maybe bring on some other experts and, do some, webinar master classes. So there's a variety of things you could do. But if you want to start a YouTube channel, just start a new YouTube channel. So like I'll be fully upfront and transparent to everybody watching. I just started my own YouTube channel. I have another one called Maximizing E-commerce, but I have not really posted on that much the last 3 years. But I started a new one called Grow Marketing System, where I talk about like virtual summits and things like that. And so it's a little bit of a slog in the beginning, like I think last I checked, I have 1 subscriber. I've not even really publicized it. This might be one of the first places I've said anything about this one, which literally just the other day I added content to the channel. So you're going to start. And I say this because I've been there before and I've seen both, from when I first met Steven, he had a small channel. Now it's big following. I got to a point with Maximizing E-commerce to be decent size. I think it's like 4,900 subscribers. But I started with 0. I think, my mom was one of the first few. And that's just the way it is. And so, you have to put out content, realize you're kind of talking into an empty room, but over time, things kind of pick up and you start finding your audience, finding your niche, and you get better at explaining things. And so, if you want to make PPC related content, pick something and talk about it. And, don't get too technical. Just think about if you're dealing with people right now, doing PPC, what questions are they asking you? You could take a bunch of emails or client calls, put it into like ChatGPT and say, what questions do they have? What YouTube videos could I create based on the questions my clients or customers or prospects have? And then you can make videos on that, or maybe blog posts. But I think the blog game is not great to get into as a primary strategy, maybe as a repurposing strategy for the video content you do. Maybe you could have blog posts made about that, but just know that's not going to get a lot of traction, especially with the way things are moving towards AI as opposed to regular Google search. And even Google search, it's the top, it's AI. So anyway, Kareem says, amazing. You'll see me around on YouTube in the next 4 to 6 months. Kareem Afridi. When you say see you around in the next 4 to 6 months, hopefully it's because as of now you're posting and you're starting to get traction after 4 to 6 months. That's probably a more realistic thing. If you're saying I'm going to start in 4 to 6 months, I'm going to challenge you and say why. Time is going to pass regardless. So you're probably going to take 4 to 6 months before you see any sort of traction. So you might as well 4 to 6 months now versus 4 to 6 months and 4 to 6 months from now just means you're just delaying things. So in case I misunderstood that. And then I think, we're past time. So with that, thank you everybody for coming. We'll do this again next week and we'll see you. Take care.